Hi everyone, it's Eric. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about some of the rule changes that have affected the premier rules coming out with the publication of Marshall Enterprises' La Bataille de Prusse, that is looking at their Prussian campaign in 1806. Now, Jeff Capuano had done an excellent video on his YouTube channel talking about the cavalry rule changes and clarifications that are in this most recent version of the Marshall Enterprises Premier Rules. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the changes to the infantry rules and how those are particularly important in this Prussian campaign battle series and how it can affect the outcome of the game. So let's take a look at that. So let's take a look at a familiar type of arrangement. Here we have some Prussian infantry battalions that are in line in 2 hexes here and in 2 hexes here. Now, the way the old rules had been, these spaces here are considered part of the front orientation of the infantry battalions that are in line, and then this hex here, this hex here, and this hex here were flank, and of course then these hexes here were rear. Now, one of the new rules that is in the August 2017 version of the Premier Rules is for what's called refusing the flank. So the rule is that if these flank hexes are also in the front hex side of one of your friendly battalions or regiments, then it's as if the line curved, and this is no longer a flank hex, but it's a front hex. Therefore, if this French battalion moves forward, in the old rules, you could have attacked through that flank and gotten a bonus for attacking this unit through that flank orientation. Now that's considered front orientation, and so you don't have that bonus after all. So that's important, particularly for the Prussians in this series of games, because oftentimes they don't have anywhere to hang the end of their line, or they have to bend or maneuver their line, and so having some way for them to have that flank covered is important. It'll help out the French as well, particularly when they're fighting in, say, Hassenhausen in that scenario, and need to have some protection out on their ends as well. Now let's take a look at another situation that's now possible with the modifications in the rules. This has to do with infantry that are in square. So we're going to imagine that these French battalions are in square formation. With a new addition to the rule, usually a square can move 1 hex at the start of its move or change formation and move. It can now move underneath or onto an enemy cavalry unit. Now you may say, what would be the point of that? The square cannot melee that cavalry unit, nor could it melee anything else that it moves onto and attacks. However, it can fire upon that cavalry unit, and that would be how you would use it. You'd move that square onto that adjacent enemy cavalry, and then during the offensive fire phase and then defensive fire phase, you could unleash full firepower of that square onto that cavalry unit. And so that would be the benefit for it. I can't see anything in the rules that says that the cavalry unit can retreat, because it's not really a retreat before combat like melee combat. And so the square just moves up, and the cavalry is there, and it gets blasted. So very interesting. Certainly something that the French might want to think about using in, say, the Battle of Hassenhausen, where the Prussian cavalry is very, very numerous and of very high quality, It's a way for the French to maybe dish it out to the Prussians and maybe even up the odds a little bit. But you're not going to be able to pull that off if you're too far away. If the cavalry unit was, a few hexes away, it's going to take you a while to get over there before you could actually do that. So this would only really work against a cavalry unit that is adjacent. Maybe it's tired, maybe it's exhausted from a previous charge or from something else. But even if it's in good order, the rules seem to indicate that the square can move into that hex and then during the fire phase blast the unit. So think about that next time you're playing.